and 70s that it was quite the task to be not Desi, but to be a Desi and move up the ranks. It was a real big deal, so congratulations.
What is that?
Sankaran? Yeah. And
Semiconductors?
it's a good question.
You're too young to
Yeah,
know what it is.
something East Fishkill plant, and then you went into marketing, but all our friends, everyone, that was our life. And but at any rate, congratulations. One thing that resonated to me is the identification of a mentor. And I think you asked a very good question. How do you become a good mentee? So my question is twofold. How do you identify a good mentors? And then how do you become a good mentee? Because that responsibility is twofold. So.
One of the first things I observe when somebody comes and wants to talk to me, I want to find out. I'm not a skeptical guy, I'm rather more naive. But I try to find out. They're asking me to give them a job. A lot of people come and and the second thing is, are they coachable? Do they listen? And I sort of throw things down to see what, then I say, what did I say? No, I didn't hear that. And if you're dealing with a person who want to mentor, is not in a position to listen to you, but has come to you for just validation of their own idea. And I don't tell them, somebody comes and says, such and such an idea I want you to do. You say, okay, let me hear, what is the downside of it? Have you thought about it? Or guide them through questions to see whether they're able to handle these questions, or they're stuck in their own hypotheses with which they come. So that's one of the things that I look for in people who come to talk to me, and make a decision whether I should spend time. Or I may end up saying that here's an outline, why don't you think and do these things? And let's talk about it when you come. They don't come back. You know that you wasted your time. So that's one of my stories about a number of people I see.
Yeah, I like to listen, and while you listen to a mentee, you can realize if the verbalization of the problem is already starting to have at least an imagination of the solution. Many times when you verbalize a problem, and you do this in this mentor-mentee relationship, which is a very private kind of four-eye discussion, if you just listen and then you ask these questions that Nagesh just mentioned, to reconfirm or repeat it, in not just repeat I didn't understand, but repeat it and go a little bit deeper. The end, the mentee solves the problem for him or for herself. That's at least my experience.
Thank you. So I think the first thing is that you don't go into this as a long-term relationship. You don't know. So don't have expectations of a long-term relationship. It should be a try once kind of a thing. But when you go for that objective, you have to be very well prepared. So mentoring is, I liken it to sharpening of a pencil. You have a blunt pencil, you want to get a sharp. You don't go to the pencil and say, would you please sharpen it for me? That is not mentoring. Mentoring is you have a great general idea of what you are wanting to pursue, where you need some guidance, what kind of help, and you are listening and attentive and so on and so forth. So that's the first requirement, is how well prepared you go into the mentor. Second thing is how well you read the mentor's reactions to you. There will be signals coming to you about, yeah, interesting questions, good question, yeah, fine, yeah, do that, go do that. And then if you do a second session, see how readily that person is willing to see you. There are indications coming to you now. And also how well you address the progress you have made. And if it is ho-hum, back to the basics kind of thing, that relationship will not go anywhere. But if it is, I have had some great relationship, but then I've gone for years with people, just create a great friendship, and you maintain contact on issues and matters, and then sometimes I bounce my own thoughts to them. It's a long-term relationship. You just don't say, I want to have a mentor and tomorrow you have one. No. You got to work on it. And once you have it, then insistence, consistence, and persistence. You got to develop that kind of a attitude in pursuing that relationship. Okay?
Yeah. Go ahead, please.
Oh, this is a separate thing. You want to finish this up, Nagesh?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Well,
trying to get volunteers.
I say, okay, all right. Well, thanks for sharing your knowledge and experience. My comment is, Kailash, you mentioned that building a positive relationship with the colleagues is one of the important traits for the people to grow. Now, how do you handle a situation where build a positive relationship with a colleague who feels insecure and don't cooperate?
So that's your view, right? Yeah. So I would say don't have that view. That's the wrong point to start. He may be seeing exactly the same thing in you. You have to say, how do I tackle this situation? Do you have any common interest? I'm going to ask you. Do you have any common interest outside work with him or her?
No.
Do you socialize?
Yeah, I specialize.
No. Do you socialize with him or the family? Do the families get together outside work? Do you discuss baseball game Friday night or whatever with him or her? No. Okay. So you are purely looking at your PhD and your thesis you did and his thesis, and his thesis was a little worse than yours or whatever, and so he's not as good, right? What I'm saying to you is that I think you have to broadband your thinking, and if you're interested in that relationship and developing and making it more positive, you have to see what tickles this person, what gets you going. How about a beer after work? Give him some signals that you are interested in building a positive relationship. Okay, and when wash out that insecure and what else did you say? What other negative you threw at him? Insecure and what else?
No, feels insecure and don't cooperate.
Oh, uncooperative. Yeah, I think those are wrong. I think you have reached the wrong conclusion. I don't know the facts, but it seems to me that you have reached prematurely some very harsh conclusion about a human being who has high education, good position, equal to your position, and you have reached a conclusion that may or is most likely not accurate. Pay more attention to it.
You read my mind. There's another person I'm going to insist get up and come here. Wayne Shukla. He runs our Angels Group, chairman of that. He's the director. Can you hear me? And Wayne has some very, very interesting background. How he changed his career. And he might not like me to say this, but I will say it. His wife changed his career.
I was a reluctant immigrant to this country. I was very happy as a civil service officer in India, but my wife thought otherwise, and she managed to drag me here. But anyway, I do have this trigger to see a thought. I think the best career advice I got was from my boss's boss, who was also an ex-IBM, Manny Korea. You might know him. And so he was my mentor, and the CEO of the company wanted me to stay in this job, which was a sort of a business development thing, and I wanted to do product marketing. I thought that's a career path, and unless I manage a product and product managers, that's the only career path to have. And the CEO said, no, continue doing this. And I didn't like that. I said, this is not rewarding me for all the hard work that I've already done. So, I went to him, this mentor, and I said, I think I'm going to tell him that, no, I'm getting this other offer within the company, which is director of product marketing, and that's what I want to do. And Manny said, don't do that. Are you going to work for your resume, or are you going to work for your growth? And that was a very, very powerful and very timely suggestion he gave me. So I continued working the thing that the CEO wanted me to work on. And I kept getting quick promotions. So that was the best career advice that I got, that don't work for your resume, work for growth. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
You have one more.
Yeah, we have gone over time. We're supposed to stop at 8:30.
We'll take one final question, and then we'll be available after the government if you want. So anybody has any final question or comment, or?
So I have a more general question pertaining to the industry. So I'm a medical graduate from India, and I was interested in basic research. So I got a master's degree in biochemistry from the US. And I've been asked this question always, because I have a medical background and a basic sciences background, about what industry I would like to pursue research in, whether the clinical trials or just stick to the basic science industry. So with your insight and with your years of experience, I would like to ask the panel, what industry should I pick, which will have a better growth for my personal career and my specific case? In your opinion, would the clinical trials industry give me better, growth, or just sticking to the basic sciences at this point, and maybe getting a PhD later, going back to school later will be better for me?
You can select the area within life sciences. Ask the question, which area is growing fast, which is very early, emerging, and not settled, like detecting glucose is settled. But if you think about personalized medicine, it's an emerging, and there are opportunities that are created in something like that. And there are many roles in these kind of things, and these are startups. You can, are also large companies, pharmaceutical companies. But look for an area that is emerging, new technology coming, where you can learn quickly alongside and grow with it, and not go in a static area. So that will be one thing. And you should talk to some more people, increase your links with other people. Come to the EPPIC meeting, you meet a lot of people, you talk to them, you ask questions what you're asking, and that should give you some idea, okay? I'll be glad to talk to you.
After you listen to all of this, then you ask yourself, where would I go in the morning where I can walk into the place whistling?
I like both, so that's the thing.
If you don't have a whistle, then all the rest may not matter, because in 6 months you'll be back to the old rooms. Okay.
Just a comment. My life has also been something similar, where I spent 20 years in big pharma, and we had the opportunity those days where within one big company we could take on many roles. So I had 3 different jobs when I was at Pfizer, and part of it is positioning yourself, as you said, luck, but luck is making sure you're prepared to take that opportunity when it emerges. But the challenge today is much different. I mean, I think we had the opportunity to grow in that way, 10 years, 15 years, learn, grow, develop, to be where we are today. But for the youngsters of today, they don't have that opportunity. And that's a real challenge now, because first of all, it's difficult to find a job. Next, even if they have the job, there's so many changes within the environment that's happening, the marketplace. So how does this change for the youngsters? Any thoughts?
Individual, industry, time, we can be here for the next 6 or 7 hours.
Right.
So I don't really have anything to add. Have things drastically changed? Yeah, in many ways they have.
The main question was more than how to find a job, how to sustain or increase awareness and growth within the company, and that's what I think the major comment, more than finding a job.
I know that has changed.
It is.
The dynamics and the humanity and the selection process and the bureaucracy, they are by and large very similar. How we prepare for, how many job shifts you anticipate. When I joined IBM, I never anticipated I'd leave that company. In fact, at IBM in our times, if somebody left a job in Germany, we had 400,000 employees. Somebody left a job in Germany, that sensational news went across the world on every IBM location that so-and-so has left the Bubblingham laboratory. And wow, what happened? What was wrong with this guy? It's like unheard of. It's astonishingly different. But we did have, like Nagesh said, every 2 years, I mean, I had like every 2 years career change, I moved into something else, and whatever, horizontal, vertical, whatever have you. So I think the dynamics in many ways are very similar. And how one prepares for the jobs now is you don't come into a company for, like we did in our times, because that's not going to happen. You better be prepared, bail out into a startup, or into another company, into another vertical. I mean, all those possibilities are much more prevalent today than there were at that time. And you have to be, information is tripling every year. So you have to be on top of the knowledge game and the competitive game. You know, it's the whole scenario is different. But in terms of human selection, who gets a job, who moves forward, all that stuff, is pretty much the similar parameters. That's anyway my simple view. And I'm not in the job market right now, so I don't understand all the nitty-gritty that's going on.
Yeah, I would agree that we had challenges at our time, and I think you mentioned the word communication. Just imagine when I started, telefax was probably the newest thing, and a telephone call to the United States was something that was monitored because it was expensive. You know, the communication that you take as granted in the moment was something that we didn't have. So our field of networking was the company, the immediate communication with partners, with customers that were in the surrounding. And to see this opened up right now in a tremendous wide effect. You go to the internet and you say, okay, let me see how many companies in the Bay Area are looking for companion diagnostic testing. You see a list of companies right there in front of you. So the opportunities to find a position, if you are prepared, is certainly there. Are there difficulties, other difficulties today? I have absolutely no question that they are different, but there are also opportunities. And I think it depends on your own responsibility. If you find the world challenging and opportunistic, or if you find the world going into a brick wall and say everything will come down. There will be waves, no question about it, but it's, you know, what was said in the beginning, whistle. Also in the job search, you have to whistle, you have to be optimistic. And you specifically, you have a tremendous opportunity. Making it a decision is your responsibility, nobody else's. And there's a risk with that.
Thank you. We have gone over the time. We had said 8:30 and we've gone a little over half hour, but it's been a very, very interesting discussion, and appreciate everybody's participation, both from the panel side as well as from the audience side. So let's give panelists a hand. And some of us will be here, so if you want to talk one-on-one, we'll be available, but formally this is now adjourned. Thank you for coming.